But there's something about systems that creates some stability and consistency that if you are a little bit tech driven, you love working with people, you're not shy in front of meeting new people, you don't need to be an extrovert and get yourself out there, but just start. So make a decision to commit. Make a decision to commit in one direction. And then once you read the book, you need to polish it within your own life.
Hello and welcome. It's with great pleasure that I get to shine a light on one of our systemologists, Rob Morgan. Today, we get to celebrate him hitting the $1 million mark in revenue as a systemologist in a little over 3 years. And I really wanted to just dig into the process, being a systems guy myself and Rob as well. If we can dig in and uncover some of the systems and processes that got him there, I want to know what worked, what didn't, and how others can follow in his footsteps. I think hitting that $1 million mark is a fantastic accomplishment for any coach or consultant because it takes a certain level of skill and focus and a proven process to get there. So, maybe first things first, Rob, can you just tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you got started just before you became a systemologist?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Dave. And let me just say, this is actually quite a pleasure to be joining you for this topic because I think this is something that I've been striving for a while, and it's really good to know that it can be done. And you get yourself a goal, and you follow the goal, and repeat the process, and you get to where you need to be. So I'm actually really proud to be sitting here with you talking about this. So I think it all started back when I was doing IT support for 25 years, fixing computers, doing all that. We know the story. And just a day to day, how many billable hours can you do in a day? How many billable hours can you do in a week? And then add it up and then realize you're doing 60, 70, 80 hours a week. So when I found that I needed to remove myself from the day to day of the emergency, putting fires out on the computers and doing all of that kind of thing, I knew that I needed to shift my business model and my brain because I needed to kind of relieve the pressure, the tension that I was feeling back then. I wasn't enjoying it anymore. But I had 25 years experience of working with small business and business owners and going, well, I've got something there. And so when I stumbled across the Systemology book, and actually, it was Den Lenny that recommended me the book. And I was like, oh, I've never heard of it, but I'll find it. And I found it and I read it. Then I read it again. And then I was doing a drive to Hunter Valley to a mastermind session. And it was a about 4 hour drive. And I listened to the entire audiobook on the way up and on the way back. And my mastermind session that weekend that I was working on is I announced to everyone that I was going to become a systemologist. All right. And that became my quarterly 90-day sprint kind of goal and made myself accountable. So 90 days later is when everyone said to me, how are you going? And I said, I'm doing it. I'm working on it. I'm getting there. This is it. I found it. So I knew that I needed to do something within consulting. I knew I needed something, maybe a business coach or something, some sort of mentor, but didn't know how to do that. Didn't know what the process was. But once I read the book, I went, there are the tools that I need to follow to then become that consultant that I've always wanted to be. How do I support business owners in that journey?
Now, how would you describe the role of a systemologist and what a systemologist is now that you're kind of in it? How do you explain what you do?
Uh, I think it's actually shifted. At first, I thought I was the systems geek, and I
Yep.
was like a bit of a robot going, we're going to record you, then we're going to document what you do and all of that. And it kind of started in that kind of mindset. Through the conversations and life experiences with business owners, do you think that everything they do is a business problem? Do you think every challenge they have is a business challenge? I've learned to be a business mentor. I've learned how to be a friend. I've learned how to be a business coach. I've even learned how to be a life coach through this process. So, what I love about it is if you love working with people and you love, making a list, you love being organized in very methodical way, then you're going to love this job because it's not a job. It's actually just being you supporting people. So I see clients looking at me now as friends, but also a trusted advisor. They probably see me as a bit of a systems nerd, but there's some stability and consistency around that. So when I meet with clients every week or every 2 weeks, whatever that feels like for them, I work around their schedule. They know that when they meet with me, they're getting the same Rob Morgan. They're getting the same person. Got my systems hat on today, and 1 + 1 = 2. There's no doubt about it, right? So today we're going to cover this, and we're going to record this. We're going to document this, and we're going to share it and see how that works within your business. And I'm going to show you how to implement that across the team, so you become a systems-driven business. And that is probably the most powerful message I have as being when I say to people I'm a systemologist, they go, "What do you mean?" I said, I help businesses systemize the business of the business owner can create a freedom business. That's my goal.
Yeah, I love it. When you got started, you mentioned you kind of made that commitment in the mastermind group and you said, okay, for the next 90 days, this is going to be a sprint. Can you kind of talk us through those first 90 days and what you went through just to kind of get yourself up and running?
Yep. Well, one of the things we learned when I first saw on the systemology.com website the big become a systemologist, when I found that, that was my first win, right? Because I realized that there's more to just reading the book if this is the area you want to be in. So when I looked at the process, it was like, find yourself a case study. And I thought, what does that mean? Like, how do we find a case study? Then it basically, I trusted the process to basically say, find a client that you can work with that'll put up with your mistakes, that's patient. You know them well enough that they can say, hey, I'm happy to work with you. And if it's not right the first time, I'm okay with that. I'll be patient with you and work with you. So I found 2 case studies straight away and said, I'm going to do it for free. Let's meet once a week. And I'm just going to look at this system for creating systems. I'm going to keep my eye on that and follow that until I get it right. And yep, it was wrong. Yep, Bill Dewar, who was my checking me out to make sure that I was doing it right, failed me the first time because he just said, it's not there yet, Rob. You'll get there, but it's just not, I'm not sure how to find things. And I look back and I said, God, you're actually right. Even I can't find it. So it's not a perfect system up front for me or for anyone because I think I felt I was trying to fix it. I was trying to create my own spin on it. And I realized that it's simple. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Just get it done to a certain point where it makes sense. And that if you imagine some 15-year-old kid who knows nothing about your industry suddenly reading a process on how to do something and it makes sense to him or her, then you nailed it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the first 90 days of understanding that.
Were there any challenges outside of, hey, just follow the process? Like, whether it's stuff that was going on in your head or just that you had to navigate through on your journey to become a
Mm.
$1 million systemologist, what did you have to kind of overcome?
I think the first thing, and Eric Putman put it really nicely to me in a sledgehammer sort of way, is you don't need to try to fix it. You don't need to try to change it. You just need to trust it. And so
Yeah.
I kept creating my own spreadsheets. I kept creating my, oh, I want to do this with this. Well, I've been doing it for 25 years and all of that. You have to just let the flow go. And I think the most important thing I learned is that when you are working with a business, trying to help them create business freedom, help the business owner remove them from the day-to-day operations, is that you don't trying to change their business. We're simply taking a snapshot of what they're currently doing so that we can go, right, I'm going to record, and I'm going to extract, record, and document exactly how you're doing that. It's down the track. You start to look at ways that you can optimize. So I tried too soon. I was going straight into the optimization stage while I was doing a critical client flow in stage one. And that didn't work that way. You've got to follow the steps 1 through 7 because you can't get to step 2 by any assigning anything unless you define what you're talking about in the first place. And so I was learning that process along the way.
I think what I've loved most watching you grow into the coach that you are today, also, like you just throw your hat over the fence at every opportunity, whether it's, hey, do you want to present on a webinar? Hey, do you want to do a speaking opportunity? Hey, whatever it is, you're just like, feel the fear and do it anyway. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that.
Well, I think I probably learned a lot of that through Sean Sewell. And Sean Sewell is my best friend. He's my business partner. He's also my coach. He's my business mentor, right? And we've known each other for over 20 years. And he's always telling me to step away from the screens, stop hiding behind the monitors, get out there, meet people, meet business owners. So I started to say yes. And the first person who started asking me if I wanted to present was Sean. And the first person that I needed to present with was you. And so here we are in Darwin. Well, I was in Darwin and I'm about to present on stage with Dave Jennings. I'm nervous as hell. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't sleep for 3 weeks. And then the day came, COVID came, locked you out, sent you back to Melbourne, got me on stage about a week later, and I presented for the first time. And I remember Sean saying, do you want me to jump up on stage and give you a hand? I went, no, I've got this. You just sit back there and relax. Because by the time I got to that point, I was so comfortable in what I've learned so far. I've become so passionate about what I've learned so far, became so in love with the systems, and it became this mentor for others for the first time. I was actually helping others and teaching other business owners and others just around me how to get things done. I was actually for the first time sharing my knowledge as opposed to always being the student. I felt myself getting to the front of the classroom. So there I was, standing up on stage for an hour and a half doing a bit of a workshop for the first time. And since then, I've presented to many podcasts, YouTube channels, been on stage again with you, again in Noosa the other week. It is just a process of saying yes. And yes, it's nerve-wracking. Yes, I know the feelings, but the feeling that you get when you finish presenting outweighs the nervousness of presenting in the first place. I think
Mm.
they say that the people have more fear of death than public speaking, and I get it. But it starts with just saying yes, getting out of your comfort zone, and then saying yes to standing in front of a group of people, saying yes to presenting and doing a webinar, even though there are only two people show up. Be aware that those recordings can be repurposed, they can be reused, you can use them 1,000 times. The joy is in the build-up, the joy is in understanding it. And once you know something well enough and you're comfortable with it and you're passionate about it, it's not actually nervous anymore. It's now just you just telling a story.
Oh, hey, I know you're tuned in right now, so I'll keep this super quick, but you like awesome YouTube videos, don't you? Well, there's not really that many YouTube channels that create great content about how to systemize your small business. So I want to make sure that you catch every video that I publish. So if you haven't already, firstly, give this video the thumbs up and then go ahead and subscribe to my channel. You can even hit the bell notification to make sure that you're the first to know when I publish anything. So go ahead, do it right now. I'll wait a sec and then I'll transfer you back to the video. Yeah, I love it. Along the way, I feel like you've picked up quite a few wins and got feedback. I don't know if there's any proud moments that come to mind with wins that you've got from clients.
Yeah, there's a couple, but one that stands out the most was when I had a business owner. I've been working with their team for about 6 months, and we've just been slowly working way through the process. I'm still quite new in the systemology world. I'm still learning my way through it, but getting better at it, getting more confident. And he came up to me at one of the networking events, one of my mastermind events within a circle, and he hugged me. And he said, "Rob, you've saved my business." And I said, "Oh, Craig, that's amazing. That's so nice to hear." He goes, "No, I think you saved my marriage as well. And be honest, I think you saved my life." Like, you don't get that from fixing computers. Like, the 25 years of fixing computers was, "Hey, Rob, my computer's running great." That dopamine fix is great for about an hour or two. I love my job. This is so good. I'm so proud of myself. And then 24 hours later, the computer's broken and you're no longer the best friend. This stuff that we're teaching and helping business owners is you can't unlearn it. It is lifetime. It is changing people's lives. It is creating them to go away with their family on holidays and come back and the business is running better without them. Like, what dopamine fix can you get that's above and beyond that outside of your wedding day, that kind of thing, where there's something so memorable that you'll never forget it. These are the events that I get that are so amazing that I will never ever take for granted the opportunity to help another business owner again. Because the more you do it, the better you get at it. The better you get at it, the more you want to do it. And
Yeah.
then it evolves from that point.
For the potential systemologist or new systemologist that's watching this now, if we were to distill things down into a system or a process like a good systemologist would, and we think about getting started as a systemologist, like what are those first 5 steps, 10
And
steps, or what process would you go through to achieve the result, which is to become a $1 million systemologist?
yeah, I think one, commit. Decide this is what you want to do. You might say, I want to become a business coach. Right? Where do you start? You go to Action Business Coaching, you become an E-Myth coach, like whatever that direction takes you. But there's something about systems that creates some stability and consistency that if you are a little bit tech driven, you love working with people, you're not shy in front of meeting new people, you don't need to be an extrovert and get yourself out there, but just start. So make a decision to commit. Make a decision to commit in one direction. And then once you read the book, you need to polish it within your own life. So the 7 stages of systemology become your everyday systemology. So I don't go shopping without a list. I record everything I do in my house in case we go on holidays. Everything's recorded and it's documented and it's a QR code in my kitchen. Like, it is just, it becomes your day-to-day living, right? That's once you commit to the one thing, the 7 stages of systemology is what you need to embed in part of your DNA. And then the next thing is just by default, You're out there telling people what you do. You're at a barbecue. What do you do? I'm a systemologist. You're a what? Systemologist. What does that mean? Oh, let me tell you. You're not just saying, I fix computers or I'm in IT or I do tech or whatever like that. When you say systemologist, it's a trademark. It is a name that no one else owns that much. I've never heard of it before until I've read the book, right? So you become that systemologist, you network, you go to events, you say yes to public speaking, you go and find yourself a JV, a joint venture partner, and say, would you like me to recommend or refer clients to you? Yes, great. Can you refer clients to me? Yes, great. There's an agreement. Whether that agreement be with a business partner where you're exchanging clients, whether you say, here's a percentage of my sales, here's a gift voucher, whatever that looks like, those are the best referrals to get, are the warm ones you get. Because those are the ones that say, hey, you know what? I've read the book. I'm already sold, right? That book has become gold. I always have a minimum of 100 books in my office because one book's going out every week. And sometimes it's going out to a bit random, and others are just haven't read it. They want to know more. And others I've just bumped into on the side of the at Woolies, go shopping and talking about it. And I go, I'm going to get you the book. Like, wow, that's amazing. How much do I owe you? It's like, it's a gift. So we gift the book because without that book, they don't understand the whole process and the whole flow of it. But once they read it, they get it. And there's a light bulb moment for them. So that's the part of giving a gift. So the trick for me is a deal is never dead. You never have a lost deal. So you nurture everyone you meet, every client, potential client that's read the book, they fall in love with the process, whether they're ready or they're not ready, you have a nurturing sequence. So get a good CRM. Have a CRM that says deal in, book giveaway, coffee call, deep dive, quote, sent, quote, approved. Yep, because you got to make an assumption that the quote's going to get approved. If they don't do anything about it now, they might not be ready now. You don't mark it off as lost. You call that a follow-up. And you follow up in a month or 3 months or 6 months or 12 months or 24 months. How's your journey going now? Are you ready to start talking about systems? So it's consistency. And once you finish that, you then go back to going out and finding other places you can go to, find another JV partner, say yes to jumping on stage, say yes to a podcast, and just repeat the process again and again and again. And it's a numbers game like any other business. Any business owner you've ever spoken to is going to have that same process, but be consistent. My wife was in real estate for 7 years. You know what the numbers game in real estate is? She goes out and spends 4 hours knocking on doors, right? So she's knocked on 200 doors. Out of 200, three people let her in. Out of those three people, one person's probably ready to sell their house. It's a numbers game. But if you go out and knock on 20 doors, your options are very limited. So the more people you can get in front of, the more people you can speak to, the more of an opportunity you have. We all know that if you do a webinar, 50 people register, 10 people show up, one person might be ready. Do two webinars. Do a webinar that brings in 100 people, because then maybe 50 show up, and then 20 may be ready to go. So it's just about the numbers and being consistent and never giving up and never getting to a point where you're saying, this is all too hard. I can't get leads. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know what I'm doing. Give a book away. Start with giving a gift. Go to and do a webinar for free and just educate and teach and share what you've learned through this process. And when you share that without asking for anything in return, more people will come to you because they want to be with someone like you who's not desperate. They're deliberate. We're deliberately sending the systemology message out to the world. We're not desperately trying to find clients because we don't need to be, because we
Yeah.
have an amazing opportunity to share the knowledge with them.
As you kind of tell your story, and over the time that we've known each other, I try and look at what are the common what are the traits that make you successful. And I know, I mean, you've got a genuine desire to help business owners. I think you're persistent and consistent. I think you are happy to throw your hat over the fence and get amongst it. Um, you've got uh, you're reasonably comfortable with tech, also with your tech background. I don't know if there are any other qualities that you think of. If you're thinking of some of our best performing systemologists, if there's anything common amongst them.
I think the biggest one for me is actually of all the things is we've known each other for almost 4 years now. God, that's gone fast. But I think being humble, not knowing everything, or if you know it, you don't need to boast it. Because I've become a very good listener over the last 4 years. Because initially I thought I could do it better, or I can teach you something better. Oh, we're talking about tech. Maybe I can teach them something that I've learned over 30 years. that's not what that's about. That's not what our role is. Our role is to become very, very good listeners, and the ability to allow business owners to express what they're doing, whether that's right or wrong, and record it exactly what they're doing, and have that compassion to say, I really want to help you do this. Let's just record everything you're doing, and let's then review it and look at it to see if that makes sense. Because if that little process there is taking you 10 minutes a day and you remove that because it's a distraction, that's a week a year. Wouldn't you like to take a week off that year and come back in the business running better without you? So the language is around support. It's almost like being a combination of that process coach and a life coach,
Yeah.
because there has to be some compassion. When I was a kid, my dad said to me, "You are the most giving person in the world. I think you're going to be a doctor when you grow up." Because I was just that kid who was always looking to ways that I can help people. Maybe that's one of the skills. Maybe that's one of the things you've got to have in your DNA, is that you just want to help people. And if you're walking down the road and somebody's struggling, you just go naturally to help them, and that's your natural personality. That's probably one of the nice fits of a systemologist as well, because when we see a business struggling because they're not systemized and everything's in the business owner's head, and we have that natural instinct that comes and says, I want to help you. That's the starting point. What I
Yeah.
have to help you is the knowledge that I have around systemology, the knowledge I have around tech, the knowledge I have around, the industry, the specific industry you're in, whatever that looks like, whatever your skill set is, now is the time to shine, because the rest of it is just a process. I'm no different from a bricklayer to a builder to an electrician to a doctor to a bookkeeper to a plumber. They're all different, and they might say they're uniquely different, but what I do with them is exactly the same. Remember, we talked about the vanilla coding over everything, is that we want to capture the lowest hanging fruit, the minimum viable systems that you have in your business. And when they go, but we're different, we have 1,000 things to do. Let's just start with the first piece, and
Yeah.
then the second piece, and the third piece. And when I help you guide you through that process, and when they see that I'm taking my time to go through it one step at a time in baby steps, they see that as them. I think they may feel that they're being nurtured properly. We're not just coming in hardballed and going, right, this is the way you're going to do it. I'm going to change everything. I'm going to blah, blah, blah. No, I just come in and just listen. And there's a humble approach to support them through. And as we move along, you then build up the strength, you build in the courage, and you build them up to see that they're with their trusted advisor and they're actually getting somewhere. So it is a
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, I love it. I think as someone's listening to this now, if they can see something about themselves in what Rob's talking about, and you'd be keen to find out if you are a good fit to be a systemologist, we're quite particular and we're growing a network of certified systemologists to help this growing demand of business owners who want to step away from their business, step out of the day-to-day operations. You definitely head over to systemology.com, and from there there's a few links to become a systemologist, and more than likely you'll end up hopping on a call to chat with Rob just to make sure it's a good fit. And if it is, we'd love to get you on the same mission that we're on. And I'm confident that we can change the face of small business together.
Thanks, Dave.